Good. Should be streaming on YouTube and on Fakebook and maybe on Twitter. I don't know. Here and there. Right. Okay. Coming up. What is coming up? Oh, blimey. I don't know. On Fire. Yes. On Fire. We got Boosey, Timothy Otto Hill from California and Oregon, respectively, talking about what's going on stateside. San Francisco is literally on fire. The latest of the peaceful protests. And we got COVID, I don't know, doctors who are skeptical about the COVID narrative, flambeing the narrative. And we've got that bar testimony in the, the Judicial House Committee or something. So that's all good fun. All that coming up on Daily Chaos at the top of the hour. If you're watching an archive version, you might want to fast forward by about 12 minutes. All right. Okay. Big cheers to our Dave Fergie for this. Copyright free. Nick Clegg. Liverpool beat. God bless you, Fergie. Thank you. Now look here, I can see you lot over on Fastbook or whatever. You should be at dailychaos.news/show. That's where you should be watching this show. Yeah, and by the way, the bit rate is 9 times the amount on dailychaos.news than it is on anywhere else. Apart from YouTube, has to be said, it's the same because basically I'm embedding that stream. So if you're on Facebook, you shouldn't be. If you want good, high, top quality stuff. Big cheers, Fergie. Copyright free stuff. dailychaos.news show. Yeah, there you go. ugly. Six minutes, people. If you're watching an archive version, you might want to fast forward a bit. Either way, you might want to share a bit. Yeah, there you go. Do that. I've got old Rodders here on the phone, and he's having a right. He's very annoyed that Trump Jr. has been kicked off Twitter for 12 hours. On what? Anyway, we're going to be talking about that tonight, coming up.
They don't want me in the movies. Nobody sings my song. And mama thinks their baby's doing fine. Then I got to winking. Boy, I started thinking.
Yes, right, okay. Boosey, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Good man, yeah. I think we got Jay popping in too. We got Jay popping in. And
Tim,
Tim.
I've sent the link again to
Tim.
because obviously the other link wasn't working. So
it wasn't working? Okay. The other one does work. I'll sort that out. I'll send it to him. This is Kelvin Mackenzie running for mayor of London. Fuck, crying out loud. I tell you what, we need a new mayor of London, I tell you that.
How you doing, Ollie?
Hey, Jay! Hello, mate!
Stop! I reclaim my time. Stop answering questions.
Oh, yeah. What do you think this is? Judicial whatnot committee thing?
What a joke.
What a joke. What a joke. Hold on. Oh, we got to stop. We're running 1 minute late. 1 minute late, people.
Whoa, my heart. If I stand all alone, will the shadow hide the color of my heart? Blue for the tears, black for the night's fear. The stars in the sky don't mean nothing to you. There are mirrors.
I don't want to talk about it. Do you guys remember Kenny Everett when he took off Rod Stewart on the Kenny Everett television show? Do you remember that? No?
I vaguely remember.
Oh, it's brilliant. It's brilliant. I'm so sexy or something. Yeah. No,
and
I'm 38.
He had a big.
All right.
Oh, you're so young. He did this big thing on the stage. He was farting like mad and filling up his leopard skin trousers until he took off, floated up into the gods. That was very good. You're probably banned now, being, I don't know, offensive to farts or something.
Having said that, I'm a big fan of the two Ronnies.
Oh, yeah.
Well, to be fair, they can't ban farts because otherwise Smell well would be allowed to give another review on TV, would he?
Yeah, Trump.
What? Who? Who wouldn't?
Yeah, there's California representative Swellwell. He's on the ship, and he was being interviewed in one of the buildings in Washington. It's a massive echo chamber and live air farted.
Did he? Well, there you go.
So you can make a move up as if he's going to pop one off.
What was his name? Smellwell.
Well, we refer to him as Smellwell now. He's basically very anti-government, and he's mate with
oh no.
we stand at a hotel shift.
If you ban farts,
somebody's calling.
Hold
on, I'm trying to start the show. Hey, hold on. What's going on? Who's calling? Somebody's calling. Somebody is calling. I've got no idea who it is. It's Amanda. Hold on. Hold on. Amanda Thompson. Oh no, you're going to tell me there's no audio, aren't you?
Both the guests have got echo.
They've got echo. They've both got echo. Oh, for crying out loud. Hold on, we'll work it out. Right, we're going to start. Amanda, stay there.
Yeah.
Here we go. Let's do it.
Well, I'm not phoning to talk to you. I'm just phoning to tell you Boosey and Jay are
I know. Look, I've started the thing now. Hey, folks. Blimey. Good evening. Good people. Well, good afternoon. Good morning. Welcome to the Daily Chaos. Ordo KO. Yeah. I'm Olly Connelly. Thanks for turning up. And apparently there's echo. I'll have to work that out. I don't know what to do. What do you do? Tell me in the comments, people, please, if there's echo. Boosey, can you hear the music? Can you hear this music?
I can hear the music.
Good.
Yes,
One
it's
word.
me.
What do you think this is? This is like a judicial committee hearing, yeah. One word. It's my time. I retract my time.
Ollie, the intro is on YouTube.
The intro's echoing.
My time.
Why?
The intro
Oh
is
no!
on YouTube.
Why is the intro echoing on YouTube? It must.
You're the guy
Yeah.
with the EQ.
Unfortunately, I think I might be echoing a little bit because I've had to be put into another room.
I might be echoing, but that's because I've had a glass of wine. Blimey. Oh, you know what? That's enough of that. Okay, let's try and work this out. So, there's an audio issue somewhere. Amanda? Oh, she's gone. Right, that was Amanda Thompson. Bless her. And we've got Timothy Otto Hill calling in from Portland to tell us what's going on in San Francisco, I hope. Timothy, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Good news. And it's good to see that you are using your usual mysterious self in the background there as well. And we've got Chris Boosey in California, trying to ward off, I don't know, the libtards or something. How are you, Chris?
Yeah, I'm okay. Yeah, the rioting re-hit my state, so great.
Yeah.
Fun times.
Right. Just a sec. Is it still echoing, people? Question mark. Is it still echoing? Please let us know before we crack into this crucial conversation into the geopolitics of 2020 on the run-up, guess what, to an important election in November with all sorts of and some stuff happened today. But I just want to know. Our sound is okay now, says 08 Hunter
Says
and
no
Stuart.
echo.
Thank you.
No echo now, Ollie, on YouTube. So we're all good now.
I don't know what happened. Anyway, whatever. Right. Okay. It seems to me, now tell me what I'm missing, people, but 3 stories today. First of all, San Francisco, massive fire. Massive fire. Another peaceful protest. Secondly, those doctors, medics, what have you, that went down to, hold on a second, let me turn that down a bit. That went down to DC to protest at what they call a COVID cover-up, escalation of politics, hysteria from the media, and people dying as a result of the lies surrounding hydroxychloroquine, plus zinc, plus something else. According to them, I want to cover that. That's going on today. And the third thing, and being covered up by social media. So, for example, Twitter's banned Trump Jr. For tweeting something about it. Only 12 hours, but nonetheless, they reckon that, I don't know, Twitter doctors now, they reckon that they know best, and that if you talk about this, if you question the official narrative, which seems to say that, totalitarian China is supreme over the President of the United States when it comes to the narrative surrounding this coronavirus thing, then you are deplorable or something, and deciding. And I don't know, are they qualified doctors? I don't know. Anyway, 3 stories. Go on, Jay. Hey?
I never knew Dorsey had a medical degree, to be honest.
Neither did I, but apparently he does.
I never knew Dorsey had an IQ.
Yeah. He's in Silicon Valley, doesn't.
Well, they
calling
reckon
it fake news.
They reckon if you talk about that stuff, you are deplorable and should be banned. And yet,
it's because the FDA are supporting it, and people put their trust in the FDA. That's stupid. And if they say it's misinformation, then it's misinformation.
It's incredible, isn't it? It's incredible.
It's even more incredible when you got the President of the United States being overruled by Twitter.
Yeah, that's right. Drain the swamp, sir. For goodness sake. Let's have free speech. Let's be able to question the official narrative. I thought that's what you were supposed to do, or to be able to do in the Western world, as opposed to some, I don't know, bloke that frankly is on the Democratic side of the debate, deciding who can and cannot speak and share information that are just questioning the official narrative.
Too much talking. I reclaim my time.
Yeah. Okay. What's that
wasn't
story?
the only one who said it, though. He wasn't the only one. It was nearly all of them.
What is that? Okay, we're going to go round. We're going to go around the houses a bit, because all these stories, these 3 stories, and whatever other stories may interlink to this, are intertwined. Yeah. So, what is the deal? What are you referring to there, Jay? What is this reclaim my time stuff?
I'm referring to the Judiciary Committee on Attorney General Barr, where the Democrats are questioning, well, asking him a question, but not giving him a chance to answer. And every time he does try to answer, they say, "I reclaim my time," until they run out of time. And then Jim Jordan jumps in and says, "You should, if you're going to ask him a question, let him answer."
So, okay.
Jim Jordan seems to be the only one with
They brought him
sense.
there for a hearing, and they didn't want to hear from him.
So,
not really questions,
Attorney
was it?
General, the Attorney General of the United States, the most senior lawman in the United States, has been hauled up in front of a House Congressional Committee. Is that correct, Timothy? And why?
Yeah.
Because they think he's working with Trump, don't they?
Hold on, Jay. Hold on. Timothy, go on.
They think he's just doing the bidding of Trump, and he's actually protecting the Constitution and following the rule of law. And but it's going to expose them if he does that. So they're accusing him of actually doing the bidding of Trump and actually making it political.
They're using Roger Stone's thing. That's when President Trump tweeted about Roger Stone, saying that it was miscarriage of justice, and they wanted to push for double time. And then Attorney General Barr, a few hours later, I think the tweet was at 2 a.m. and Attorney General Barr said he recommended the lower sentence. So they think he did it because Trump tweeted about it.
Yeah. What this actually is this is the first step, because they've stated an intention to impeach Barr.
They're impeaching everyone.
So basically they're trying to impeach Barr. However,
why, Chris? Why do they want to impeach this guy? And is he not doing the bidding of Trump? Hold on, Jay. Chris, please.
Yeah, Jay's right, because he's doing his job, and they really don't like the fact, like, some of this actually comes less to do with Roger Stone and more to do with Flynn, because what actually happened
Michael
is
Flynn, the guy that was basically being sent to jail, but he was set up by the FBI.
The case still hasn't been settled. This is the thing. We're still running with judicial theatrics at the moment, and the judge is trying to get a new type of appeal.
Yeah, they're trying to appeal it, aren't they?
Yeah, he's had an appeal. The Court of Appeals has basically told him to dismiss the case. Because he has no case, and there is no reason for him to prosecute the case. It is unconstitutional. However, he is saying that, well, you only had a block of people on that appeal. I want en banc. I want the entire Court of Appeals. So I want all of them to rule on it. And obviously, with this being a DC court, the vast majority of those are liberals. So he believes that he can get a majority decision overturning the initial decision. However, there is no precedent, there's no constitutionality to it, and actually the Department of Justice has actually outright accused in judicial speak and legal speak, outright accused Judge Sullivan of constitutional violations. So they've actually accused him of infringing upon the rights of General Flynn So actually giving
Flynn's the key.
what they've effectively done is they've laid the groundwork for an impeachment of Sullivan if they win the House. Because obviously they're not going to be able to impeach Sullivan if they don't win the House, because the Democrats are not going to impeach Sullivan. But all this evidence that's come out in Flynn, which has highlighted what's been going on in the FBI, Ray was not declassifying it. Ray was still as a director, as a guy in charge of the FBI, he was still allowing this case to proceed forward, despite clearly he would know, because of his position, of all the corruption that was going on. And it was only the DOJ stepping in and declassifying all these documents. So the DOJ has, in the interest of justice, said, no, these documents need to be declassified and released. So they've kind of circumnavigated Ray, who's a swamp creature, to get this information out there to basically save Flynn from going to prison as a political prisoner.
Okay, look, I want to get this right. I want to get this right. Chris, hold on. Before you carry on, I want to get this right, yeah. Who is Sullivan and who is Ray?
Okay, Judge Sullivan Judge Emmett Sullivan is the judge that is dealing with Lieutenant General Michael Flynn's case. He's the one who's hearing it and he's outright called Flynn a traitor.
Right. Now, this guy, as I understand it,
is also one of the FISA judges.
That's impartial, isn't it?
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay,
exactly.
FISA is a whole other thing that we maybe should add a little
Sullivan's a swamp creature.
About in a minute.
Well, this is the thing.
Who's Ray? Who's Ray?
Christopher Ray is the
FBI
guy
director.
who's the FBI director. So
What, now
he is a
or
now,
then?
Currently. But there's been a recent Q release.
He's the guy that took over from Comey.
He's going to be got rid of. And from what I'm hearing, Flynn is going to replace Ray as the person in charge of the FBI.
Right. Look, I want to get this absolutely crystal clear. So Ray is the guy that's taken over from James Comey.
Yes.
Yeah.
And James Comey was the FBI chief under Obama and subsequently the beginning of Trump's tenure as president, and that had big problems with Trump, and they had a big old spat, and Trump pretty much called him part of the swamp, and managed to dislodge him eventually. And so Ray's gone in, and are you saying, Chris, that Ray is actually just as much of a swamp monster as Comey, or what?
Yeah, well, he's more of a he's a swamp creature in that
he's controlled.
He's controlled in
Who
that
by?
Who else?
They must have some information on him so that he's doing what they're saying.
Why do you think he's controlled? Why do you think he's controlled?
Because he is refusing. If you look at the Flynn case,
he doesn't release scope.
He doesn't release information that is which has shown institutionalized the corruption and shown all the stuff that was going on with regards to Obamagate and all that was happening in this department.
Mm-hmm.
And he was actually fighting against the release of this. And he was fighting against the.
When you say Obamagate, you're talking about the Obama administration and the Obama, if you like, shadow presidency trying to derail this presidency using the Russians narrative and Mueller and the impeachment. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Timothy, can you give me your take, please, on just very, very briefly, just for anybody that isn't quite clear, including bears of poor brain like me, Michael Flynn. Why is Michael Flynn key to what we're seeing today? This testimony from Barr.
Okay, Michael Flynn is key because he was also in the Obama administration, prior to being in the Trump administration. So he actually knows what's going on, and they are desperate to bury him and to silence him because he can expose everything. He knows where the bodies are buried. He knows what's going on. He knows all the back dealings, everything. So he's the key because he was in the administration, and Obama tried to deal with him prior to this as well, and tried to shame him, I guess, or something prior to even leaving office. So
Really?
they've been after him for a while.
Okay. And what, just as a recap, briefly, what has happened to Flynn in the last 3.5 years?
Well, Flynn, they say he lied, but now they're finding out because of the information that's been released that the FBI set him up and threatened to go after his son, I think it is. And so basically he lied about lying. And there is evidence that shows that he did not lie. He didn't do anything wrong. And that's what the DOJ has reviewed, and that's why they dropped all charges. So that information was held up by Christopher Wray. It was released. There's more information even that is still not released that exposes the FBI further. And I think that's what he's trying to cover up, just the incompetence.
Fascinating. Okay, so Flynn, they tried to put him in prison, didn't they? And that was then somehow overturned. And
They're still trying.
They're still trying. This guy, the judge, sorry, what's his name again?
Emmett Sullivan.
Sullivan. He is basically still trying to put this guy inside, yeah? So there is presumably a battle that's going on in the judicial system, tell me if I'm wrong, please, gentlemen, between the Democrats, the partisan Democrats, and, well, hopefully just patriots, but you could argue Trumpians, no? And that is being borne out in this battle, if you like, between Sullivan and Barr. Am I reading too much into this?
No, basically that's basically what's going on. What we've got is a corrupt judge who is trying to use all forms of all these weird precedents that don't actually exist. Well, they exist in other types of cases, but they don't exist in the kind of case that we're dealing with. There are certain things you can do in certain types of, like a constitutional court, if you're dealing with, say, torts law, or he's trying to put mixed types of law together to allow him to do things which are completely unconstitutional, and it's trying to prosecute Flynn at all costs. Judge Sullivan has gone from, well, he never actually was an impartial judge, but what he's actually taken upon himself is to be, because the DOJ doesn't want to prosecute, he's trying to become the judge, the jury, and the executioner.
Do you know what? If you don't mind me stepping in, Chris,
That's Rodders
great
there.
to see you.
Viscount St David's popped in the toilet,
Chris,
doubtless. At Viscount Towers.
Great to see you again. And Mr. Hill, Tim, if you don't mind me calling you Tim, lovely to meet you. The only reason I haven't got my video on screen is I've got this bloody eye infection and being slightly vain. You don't...
we'll know the truth when you flush the chain.
Well, do you know what exactly? I'll do that in a few minutes. Do you know what, Chris? It's a very interesting point that you raised about using precedents and conflating them in order to accelerate a judicial process. And unfortunately, it's something that society has had to deal with. And if we go back to Henry VIII, he tried to conflate a judicial process with a religious process in order to get an annulment. from Catherine of Aragon, who'd been married to for 22 years. That's the boring part of it. But the reality is that's what society does. And one of the conversations I had with Olly just earlier, which has absolutely incensed me, is that Twitter have banned.
Hold on, Rodders. I hope you didn't butt in to go off topic. We will be coming to Trump Jr.'s Twitter arrest.
Okay.
We will. We will.
The point being is if we look at the European Court of Justice, who adopt exactly the same position, Chris, as you pointed out, that you can use a variety of precedents, in actual fact, conflate them, and bingo, you can change the law. And if you look at the amendments in the American Constitution, this is exactly what's happened. Why would you have amendments if you're not using the bias of precedent? And unfortunately, if we redact it on the basis of censorship, freedom of speech, what can we do about it, Chris? What are the options available to say to the judiciary who have been politicised? I mean, I will never forget during my sentencing, and Tim, for your information, I was handed a 12-week sentence for making a joke on Facebook. And the judge had the temerity, this is Emma Arbuthnot, who's the chief, she's a district judge.
This isn't about Barr, is it? This isn't about Barr or Obamagate or any of that. Just wanted to point that out, Rodders. Carry on. Off topic, boy. Go on.
Okay, no, well, actually, Olly, staying on topic, but let's define the principles. Being told during my sentencing by a magistrate who made a very political comment, and she is the chief magistrate of England and Wales. She said, and by the way, this multicultural society that we're lucky enough to live in. Ugh. Now, that statement in itself, in actual fact, is wrong because it has nothing to do with law. It's got to do with a personal political opinion. And Chris, the point I think you're making...
Well, this is what I was saying.
Sorry.
What has happened here is he is actually... Judge Sullivan, as I stated earlier...
Yeah.
Outright called...
He's an activist.
No, but he called Flynn a traitor to the country.
Yes, so he's already made his mind up.
In court, the minute he did that, when there had been no evidence to prove this...
Yeah, that was proven enough.
At that point, Judge Sullivan, in a just case... there should have been literally a thing going, okay, we're stopping these proceedings. We're going to speak to the Court of Appeal. We're going to go to the Court of Appeal to say that we have a biased judge where a fair case cannot be heard, and as such, we wish to have him removed from the case.
Did Flynn get an apology? Boosey, did Flynn get an apology for that?
No.
I would take it a step further. In actual fact, I think there would be just cause to present a motion to the Supreme Court that any judge who veers away from judicial process, and it's very simple, they're there basically to rule on law, the application of law using precedent. As soon as they start introducing their personal political views and making statements like that, they should be disbarred. And it should have gone to the Supreme Court as an application.
Yeah. Actually, the Supreme Court doesn't have a say in that. However, there is a way to get rid of judges like that, and that is impeachment. And the thing, as I was saying earlier, and I don't know whether you were here, Rodders, is that at the time, they've actually outright stated, the DOJ, that the actions of Sullivan are in breach of breaching the constitutional rights of Flynn. As such, the judge has committed a felony offence in his behaviour because he's depriving him of his constitutional rights.
But in which case,
but this is the thing: they're laying this out fully. Now, if the Republicans take the House, I would expect to see, based on what's happened here, the precedent has been set, statements have been set, the Court of Appeal agrees that this is the case. So what would happen is that Judge Sullivan would be brought before the House to be impeached as a judge. And it hasn't happened a lot. It's very rare because the legislature does not like to interfere with the judiciary.
Yeah.
So, but this is one of the times when they have to. And because he's a federal judge, this is kind of the only option that is available to them, other than all the judges from his district can get together and basically hold a convention and make a decision that he has been kicked out, as he is being kicked off the bench by the ensembled federal judges. So they can say, you are bringing us into disrepute, bye-bye. That's the only...
You know how that's going to look, though, if you do that. It's going to look like they're trying to get rid of the people who want to prosecute them on the other side.
Hang on,
That's the way they're going to make it look. But yeah,
that's how the media will spin it, aren't they?
Yeah.
Can
I say something? What's going on right now, though, is I just read something where they're actually changing the law to where judges cannot resist the president's order unless it is unconstitutional. So this bullshit where people take a political stance against the president because they have political ideas and they're going to defy him is going to not work here in the future.
Tim, in actual fact, conflating your last comment with what Chris was saying, and Chris, I stand to be corrected, but where an individual has his constitutional rights maltreated, and I'll use a specific case in a moment, but they have access to the Supreme Court, and the classic case is the People versus Larry Flint, the pornographer who was jailed for a variety of things.
Penthouse. Bloke in the wheelchair.
No, Hustler. Sorry, mate, get your
Hustler. Yeah, sorry, get me porn right.
You can't discuss that. You can't argue with Viscount on that, can you?
Well, no, he knows his porn. Yes, he knows his porn. Right. Okay. Look, let me just come back. Just come back a wee bit. Is there not an argument to say that whoever the president is, the president's attorney general choice is going to be a little bit partisan? And I don't know that Jeff Sessions was partisan towards the Trump administration. I think the opposite, actually, which is kind of why he went. But I wonder, do they not have a point, the Democrats, that maybe William Barr, Attorney General, is a little bit partisan?
Sessions appointed Durham, though.
And even if he is, isn't actually that the norm? Just two questions.
If we go back to Obama, it is.
Of course it is.
Because Eric Holder actually referred to himself as Obama's wingman.
Yes.
Well, and G.W. Bush, every administration appoints...
Okay, so is this a congressional judicial hearing a little bit... Is the
complete waste
pretext for it a little bit naive? Timothy?
Wasn't the impeachment
it looked ridiculous
for Trump the same? It's the same thing. There is no constitutional basis for them to try and impeach him.
It's desperation.
But at the same point, there was no constitutional basis to the arguments that were being put forward for the impeachment of Trump. So and I can also show, I've actually got here the actual law that Sullivan has broken in the way he has dealt with the case in relation to Flynn, and it's 18 U.S. Code, Section 242, deprivation of rights under colour of law. Whoever under colour of any law, statute, ordinance, regulation, or custom willfully subjects any person in any state, territory, commonwealth, possession, or district to the deprivation of any rights, privileges, or immunities secured or protected by the Constitution or laws of the United States, blah, 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 shall be
Right.
fined under this title, imprisoned not more than 1 year, or both, or if bodily injury results from the acts committed in violation of this section, or if such acts include the use of a dangerous weapon.
Okay, look, that is way too much.
Chris,
Go on.
whoa.
Basically what? Basically what?
Yeah,
No,
it's broke the law,
Rudders,
that's it. It's broke the law.
basically what, Chris?
Basically, when you go through it and the details of it, because he's not suffering bodily harm, it doesn't give him much, doesn't put him into prison for all that long, but actually it requires a fine and or a prison sentence
Okay.
for this judge by the law.
All right.
What about a disbarment? Would he get disbarred for that?
Or in addition to disbarment. In addition to him being chucked off the bench.
Right. Well, as long as
he
it's
would
disbarment, that's the main thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
What I'd like to put to both Tim and Chris is if we go back to the impeachment of Bill Clinton, where, in my view, my personal opinion, he committed perjury. The accusation against a president does carry a variety of felony offences. Stop me if I'm wrong, but the point being is that Clinton's the sort of guy in the Supreme Court should have gone after what's her name, who had the cigar and
Monica Lewinsky.
Monica Lewinsky, that's the one. They would have had an obligation for challenging the presidency office because she, given that Bill Clinton was not impeached, she's come up with a dishonest.
Bill Clinton was impeached by Ken.
He was impeached.
He was impeached. He just wasn't removed. Just
That's
like
right.
Trump was impeached, but wasn't removed.
An impeachment, again, stop me if I'm wrong. Impeachment is basically an indictment. Now, being impeached is one thing. Being found guilty is completely another.
That's right. Only the Senate. So the House of Representatives, please correct me if I'm wrong, Timothy, the House of Representatives can impeach, indict, and then it's up to the Senate to charge you with a crime.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Look, I just want to show a little bit of William Barr live. This is going on now, just so we can get a bit of a taste of what we're talking about here, people. This is William Barr now.
Still going on.
Yeah, still going on. Yeah, here we go.
From a complex mix of factors which can be addressed with focused attention over time. And we in law enforcement must be conscious of the concerns and ensure that we do not have two systems of justice. Unfortunately, some have chosen to respond to George Floyd's death in a far less productive way by demonizing the police, promoting slogans like "all cops are bastard," and making grossly irresponsible proposals to defund the police. The demonization of the police is not only unfair and inconsistent with principles of all people should be treated as individuals, but gravely injurious to the inner city communities. When communities turn on and pillory the police, officers naturally become more risk averse and crime rates soar. Unfortunately, we are seeing that now in many of our cities. The threat to Black lives posed by crime on the streets is massively greater than any threat posed by police misconduct. The leading cause of death for young Black males is homicide. Every year, approximately 7,500 Black Americans are victims of homicide. The vast majority of them, around 90%, are killed by other Blacks, mainly by gunfire. Each of those lives matter. It is for this reason that in selected cities where there has been an upsurge in violent crime, we are stepping up and bolstering the activities of our joint anti-crime task forces. Finally, I want to address a different breakdown in the rule of law that we've witnessed over the past 2 months. In the wake of George Floyd's death, violent rioters and anarchists have hijacked legitimate protests to wreak senseless havoc and destruction on innocent victims. The current situation in Portland is a telling example. Every night for the past 2 months, a mob of hundreds of rioters have laid siege to the federal courthouse and other nearby federal property. The rioters have come equipped for fight, armed with powerful slingshots, tasers, sledgehammers, saws, knives, rifles, and explosive devices. Inside the courthouse are a relatively small number of federal law enforcement personnel charged with a defensive mission to protect the courthouse. What unfolds nightly around the courthouse cannot reasonably be called protest. It is, by any objective measure, an assault on the government of the United States. As elected officials of the federal government, every member of this committee, regardless of your political views or your feelings about the Trump administration, should condemn violence against federal officers and the destruction of federal property. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, well, they are William Barr's closing statements there, I think, after something like 7 hours on the spot. Just give us a bit of an idea, please, Timothy, first, of your... I know you were watching this, like me, today. Personally, I thought it was almost as good as Wimbledon. And very entertaining stuff. What were your thoughts on what you saw, by and large, today, with this Attorney General being hauled in, as I see it, in a politicized court that appears desperate, a Democrat-leaning House of Representatives desperate to get rid of this attack on global fascism?
Yeah. I think basically.
No, hold on. Oh, blimey, you've gone skew whiff. Okay, try again.
You're playing a video again.
Should be better now. Okay, go on, Timothy.
I think what's going on is this was just an opportunity, it seemed to me, that they didn't want to allow him to speak at all. And they wanted to get in their agenda, their talking points, their narrative. And that was to spin it their way, that, you know, he is doing the bidding of the president. But it was so obvious by the fact that they would not let him speak that that was, in fact, their intention. And I mean, just if I could see it in the comments as I was watching it, people felt the same way. But most people's opinion isn't going to change because they already see this anyway. I would say, if anything, the Democrats are not persuading anyone to their side. More people, as this proceeds, are actually being swayed to the other side, where they're beginning to actually see what's going on and waking up more and more. If you want to call it waking up, I don't know, maybe it's just paying attention. There are some people that are just dead set on the fact that Orange Man is bad. And
bad. Orange Man.
They're embracing
Russians.
They're literally embracing chaos, you know. And I saw an interesting quote. It was a meme basically, but it said that the mainstream media or QAnon members go after pedophiles and Satanists and, you know, and actual criminals, while the mainstream media goes after QAnon, you know, by Facebook and Twitter and all those. You know, think about that. So what's really going on? Yeah.
And who have the QAnons actually hurt, physically at least?
None.
Who? Anybody?
Yeah.
Nobody.
Yeah, Antifa's out there going after the government, and they're allowed to just run rampant. So
what's your take on this, Jay? Because I know you've got a few things to say, sir.
Well, apart from reclaiming my time, no, it's just it's quite funny. I listened to the opening statements, and it was interesting that Nadler, you know, Danny DeVito's evil brother,
he's the committee chairman. Is that right?
Yeah, he objected to the video being shown, the one that Jim Jordan shown.
What video?
After it's shown, the one saying, you know, because Nadler's saying that Portland riots are a myth. So Jim Jordan actually put a video up showing all the things that have been happening, and he objected to it being shown.
Well, I tell you, one of the things, I'm sorry to step in, but I thought that closing summary, stroke statement was both eloquent and very articulate.
He is both. is Mr. Barr, seems to me.
What? It was beautifully put. The thing which is most disturbing was his observation and statement that there are 2 tiers of judicial process. Now that is horrific for any democratic society. The fact that there's 1 tier of judicial process enforcement for a group, which are a special interest group, and there's a separate tier for everyone else. I agree with everything he said, but in actual fact, this group of protesters, it's not lawful protest, but they're not being prosecuted for it. And what is the reason for that? If you do that in any decent society without a 2-tier parallel judicial process, it begs a big question mark. I hand it over to you, gentlemen. But that to me is a horrifying statement. The parallel 2-tier judicial process. 1 rule for 1 group, another set of laws for everyone else.
Trying to find the tweet that was just made from a Democrat was saying that I think the hearings have just shown that Trump is Barr's Trump's wingman. Where is it now? And I said it didn't mean anything like that. If you looked at the separate statements at the start, Nadler didn't provide any evidence to anything. He didn't even show any factual information. And then Jim Jordan said, "I feel, I'm sorry I feel sorry for you, Barr, and all this, because they're just bringing you in."
They called him a murderer. And they told him he was derelict in his duties and gave him no chance to respond.
They called who a murderer? Timothy?
Barr.
Why?
They claimed
how?
Because of the COVID situation.
Yeah, but what else is interesting? The Democrats are saying that Trump is actually doing this violence thing to move away from the COVID situation. But as we've seen, all Democrats are supporting it. So if they didn't support it and they actually opposed it, then they'd say Trump wouldn't have an excuse then, would he? So why would they be supporting it if Trump's using it as an excuse? That's the question.
Makes no sense.
Well, Jay, first of all, I apologise for not saying good evening. You just came up as chaos on the screen. I think politicians have a sense of self-survival because they need their salaries, they need their backhanders, they need whatever accoutrements that are afforded by their office. And COVID, I think, frankly, is a bit of a blind. And if you're seen as a Democrat to take a partisan view against the president, who clearly, has the advice of the chief medical officer, or whatever he's called, in actual fact, you're a traitor. So you don't really have an option on that if you're a Democrat. Everything else, foreign policy to home politics, etc., they'll oppose Trump as a matter of, just absolute abject hatred.
Yeah.
But to go against a national health issue, which is being described as a pandemic, if you are a Democrat politician, you've got to demonstrate to your voters, your electorate, that actually I've made the right decision and I'm not partisan. And it's the ideal opportunity for these guys to play those political games. Jay, fantastic. You come up as Jay, not Chaos anymore.
Yeah, I changed my name for you, so you know who I am.
Well, I know exactly who you are. And you are very far from chaotic, let me tell you.
Yeah, no, you are, Jay. God bless you, mate. You are the voice of reason, and
I'm
we need
the voice
it.
of reason.
It does make sense, doesn't it? 6 months into the election, we've got this massive pandemic, we've got BLM, we've got Antifa. All seems to be aimed at discrediting Trump.
I think all of it foretold by QAnon too.
I think that it would be a very good thing to this whole thing with BLM and the election. I think it'd be very important to mention the Rasmussen poll at this point.
Boosey, before you do, please hold that thought. What happened today in San Francisco, Chris?
Okay, well, what's been happening in the San Francisco Bay Area, mainly what we've had in Oakland, which is in the East Bay Area. We have actually had federal court building set on fire.
The federal court building on fire. That sounds very Seattle. That sounds very Portland. It sounds a bit Atlanta.
Exactly.
No?
This is where I actually got into an
Coordinated
argument
attacks.
with a member of my wife's family.
Mhm.
Because she was trying to justify and say, "Oh, but look at this academic. She was shot in the face with a rubber bullet, and she was just peacefully protesting." And I basically went, "No, the amount of violence that's been going on, the minute that it has descended into this, if you are attending these protests, if you're a peaceful protester and you continue to stay in this environment when it is clear that riot action is going on, where people are throwing projectiles and they've got weapons and it's a full-blown insurrection. If you're there, if you don't want to be, if you don't want to be linked in with them, and you want to peacefully protest, you leave, because you're going to be the minute the violence happens, it is a riot. It is insurrection.
Let's not forget Boosey. Let's not forget Boosey, the Reichstag. Remember that one went up in flames. Who was responsible for that?
Good question. I don't think we'll ever know.
Well, who do we assume was responsible for it?
Well, people like to say that it was the Nazis.
I would say it's George. Well, in today's environment, I'd say it's George Soros who's publicly supporting groups.
Yeah.
They're
getting paid. These people are getting paid.
Might have been George Soros' dad.
Is there an argument to say? I see how there's an escalation to San Francisco from, particularly Oregon, the Pacific, the Olympian Pacific. Is that correct, Tim? Oregon into Northern California, from Seattle,
Washington, Oregon, California,
yeah. Washington into Seattle, into Portland, into San Francisco. I can see how there's a kind of an, if you like, there's a trajectory of liberal with a capital L, not a small L, a capital L. Kind of an ethos to it, which is then affected San Francisco. But, and this is my question, is there an argument actually to say that today wasn't actually about even Antifa so much as derailing that bar testimony and trying to detract from what should be the main news story today, which was that basically Barr, they got nothing on him.
Biden had a press conference too. You guys know that Biden had a press conference.
Is that what it was?
Yeah. Biden actually took questions during the
live, unedited.
Yeah.
Not even in an old people's home, just in case.
He was out and about. He wasn't wearing a mask. Yeah, it was
amazing.
He seemed cognitive, actually.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
What a bit of
miracles happen.
He's probably got an earpiece.
The interesting point.
Okay, one at a time. Rodders, go on. What do you want to say? And then I want to get to Chris's point about the Rasmussen polling.
I want to address Chris's point also. And before I lose the thought pattern, you've aptly described public insurrection, which is it an act of terrorism, insurrection, and there are reparations against that? Now, who has funded insurrection and arguably what are acts of terrorism? I mean, setting fire to a municipal town hall can only be described as
terrorism.
I think Timothy in Portland. He's in Portland, people. Timothy Otto Hill is in Portland. And if you didn't watch the show last Tuesday, if you didn't watch the show last Tuesday, you should. Is probably best poised, Rodders, to answer your question. But
the very specific question I have for all the gentlemen this evening is, in actual fact, if there is someone who has publicly supported public insurrection, stroke acts of terrorism, what legal remedies exist to the state against those supporters and funders of terrorism? And specifically, I name George Soros.
Domestic is international. They can't do anything about domestic because you've got.
Oh yeah, they can't. Oh, Jay, they can deal with a lot with domestic.
What domestic terrorism? Why is NAMBLA still exist then?
Well, it's actually covered in the Constitution.
Yeah, now it is.
Domestic, because what you are then is a domestic enemy, and as such, there are laws in relation to sedition, financing, the support. What is actually being referred to with what's happened into the laws that actually allow the federal government. They've referred to the actions against the federal courthouse in Portland as Fort Sumter 2.0.
Does that mean the North American Man Boy Love Association is going to be Trump's going to go after that?
He can. This is a lot of people don't realise the extent of presidential power, and at the moment we're not quite there. But with the widespread rioting and insurrection in the country, we are very close to justification for the president to enact Homeland Security Directive 51, which effectively removes the state rights because of a national state emergency.
Chris, quick question. Just kicking the ball back into the field. Is why has no one gone after George Soros, who has publicly advocated support for Antifa and Black Lives Matter and funded it?
Because he's a billionaire.
No. This is the thing.
And he moves around.
At the moment, presently, there is no federal statement. There's been, even though the president's made comment, there is not an official Antifa and Black Lives Matter are domestic terrorist organizations. The minute they are put on that list, then basically the hammer can come down. It's a case of
didn't Trump mention that
while they are being viewed as civil liberties organizations by a lot of people, you put people in. There is a very big problem. There's a line, and when they're viewed as civil liberties organisations by some people, and officially are not designated terrorist organisations, the minute you crack down on them, you're attacking civil liberties. The minute they're designated as domestic terrorist organisations, then you're not, and it requires that line, and they are building evidence.
Oh, Trump said he did that before. I thought he said it last month.
I agree.
Trump has accused them, but the presidential accusation is not enough. It needs
no, Chris. It's
required to put them on a list. Once they're on that list, it's open season. But the problem comes with the level of media and Democrat Party support for such organizations would literally allow. This is why Homeland Security Directive 51 is so important. Once he makes this, he has to do Homeland Security Directive 51.
Okay, Chris.
He has the power.
Yeah.
He has the power under that to remove politicians from office.
Well, Chris,
this is the thing. This is the sticky wicket. If he goes down this line, he's going to be accused of being a tyrant. So he needs the weight of evidence for the people to support him on this, so that he can take this action. Because he is going to effectively, once we get to this point, he's going to be removing representatives and senators from the House, because that is what would have to happen.
He needs to remove both. He needs to get rid of Dems and Republicans.
It becomes it's a big. What we're talking about here is such a big conspiracy of action, of seditious conspiracy. This is what we're actually talking about: seditious conspiracy and treason.
Okay.
And as such, when you go down that line, you have to be so careful, because the level of power that is given to the president in that situation.
Chris, please let me stop you. that was all very interesting, and the point being, how much evidence do you need as a president? And the president's executive power is paramount. The point is, how much more evidence does any president need to declare these groups as seditious? You call them what you want, terrorists, domestic
communist.
It's not the evidence the president needs. It's because the media is an agent of these groups.
Yeah. Okay, well that's...
He has to, this is a problem. So because the media is an agent of these groups, the evidence is not getting enough to the general populace. It's not the evidence that the president needs, it's the evidence that the public needs, because the actions that he would have to take and with the next step, he needs to be able to awaken people and show them what is actually going on.
He's not got long left, has he?
Then when the people see he's justified in his actions, otherwise he's a tyrant.
Rodders, hold on.
I've got the point. The point is when you see town halls at San Francisco on fire, how much more fucking evidence is
required? No need for that. No need. It's a family. It's a family.
No, I think it was justified.
No, it was not justified. It was not justified. You can only swear on this show in more than 3 syllables or Latin.
Okay, the point being is, if you saw St. Paul's Cathedral in London on fire, would that constitute sufficient evidence for the Mayor of London to declare a state of emergency? My view is, yes.
But this is what I'm saying, Viscount. Because the media are corrupt.
And by the way, it's Rollins to you.
Blah, 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 in Latin. The people are not seeing it. This is an optics thing. Media
you mean because the media are hiding it?
Because the media are hiding it. He needs to get it in front of the people in order to do something.
They just saw it on the Judiciary Committee.
I know.
Can I give you an example? In Portland,
no,
and
please,
living here
Timothy,
in Portland, this is what the media has done. The media has. I live here, and I just happened to decide one day on my day off to go downtown. I haven't been down there in a while. The whole fucking place, is boarded up. It is a ghost town. This is a beautiful city. It's called the City of Roses. It's called Portland. It's right by the river. It's beautiful. It's just all these bridges. This place is trash.
Beautiful place.
And I couldn't believe it. And I did not know that riots were happening every night for days on end. And then because it's not in the news. But the minute that Trump goes and puts troops and he only put like 40 people in the beginning, and they're just inside the building. They're not outside wandering around beating on people like they're trying to make it out. They're actually, they hold up in there, and they've got live feeds. My friends have gone down there. Go ahead.
Is Portland a Democrat-run state?
The mayor.
Sorry.
The mayor.
Yes.
So since we talked last time, the mayor came down and actually came out, and it was on the news too. They showed him, but I watched. A friend of mine was local, and they had there's people that go in there with cameras and just live feed it. So I've been watching it when I'm at work, and they have a method of how they start out every night. They come there and they group around the barricade, because they've got it barricaded with a fence, and they start shaking the fence, and then they warn them, and every time, and then they throw fireworks, and then they something over the barricade, and they get fires going, and then there's always lasers going, and they just have a method of escalating it until they finally warn them, and then flash grenades come out, and or percussive grenades, and everybody kind of
I'm guessing the mayor calls it a peaceful protest.
Yeah.
I just want to point out.
They actually accosted him. He actually came out one night and actually tried to join the protesters. He thought that like they're his friends or something. They almost
Yeah.
killed him.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
they attacked him, didn't they?
And then
They almost killed him.
as Tim,
Sorry, it's not funny. Not funny.
as Tim will attest to, he got into a building. He looked
Mad.
scared for his life, and
Yeah.
then 30 minutes later, the Portland police declared it a riot instead of a protest because they're not going to declare it. As the mayor of Portland also is the commissioner of the police by his position.
Right.
So they can't say that it's a riot while the police commissioner is involved in it.
Well, Chris,
Let me just chip in. Let me chip in very briefly. Very briefly,
You're pretty
please.
quiet tonight, Ollie. What around
Everybody,
this one?
let me just chip in very briefly because old Trump is coming on. He's got a press conference going to go on in the White House in just a few minutes. And when it starts, I'm going to be popping over to that and putting it on so that we can all watch it.
No, don't. You don't need to retransmit other people's news. We're here to
No,
discuss-
I do. I want to hear what he has to
Leave
say.
both sides,
And also, we're coming up to the end of this show, but I'm just going to carry on. And so if anybody wants to hang about, and I imagine, you gents, you might or might not want to, but you often carry on having a chat after the show. And so
Wait, hold
you're
on,
welcome
hold
to carry
on.
on. But when Trump comes on, because you know what? I want to hear what he has to say about
Because he's watched
bars.
it. He's probably watched it, hasn't
Yeah.
Well,
Oh, yes. He did not do much golfing today. Guaranteed. I want to hear what he has to say about Barr's testimony today. And America on fire. Now, look, I want to change the subject.
Wait,
briefly.
before you do that, Ollie,
Go on.
Boosey, you're in San Francisco, California.
Oh, San Diego. I'm in
All
Southern.
right, who's in San Francisco?
Nobody.
Talking about San Francisco.
Tim
Right, well,
is in Portland.
Is it true? Is it true that I've been hearing that on the ballot box there's no Republican candidate?
It could quite, but the way that it works is it's a top two. So it doesn't. You can have two Democrats fighting it out because they were the two top people. It doesn't go by party. It depends on how the state laws go, but you can have it where you could be in based on the law, how the electoral laws are.
What? So you can have to take a party off? You could. So we don't do that in the UK, do we?
Because you could have 6 people for the Democrats and 6 people for the Republicans, and if the 2 Democrats are the 2 top, those are the 2 you're going to get a choice from because of how it works.
Well, California's never going to go red, is it?
But
Nonsense, Reagan.
this is the thing. It depends on where you are. Bear in mind that San Francisco is one of those areas which is where they're stark raving mad. Let's be blunt.
Okay.
They are left. They are left of Stalin, left of Marx, left of Gramsci out there. Okay, so
Chris.
No, hold on. Comments from our commentators. Yeah, so we've got Sue D here. Agree with Boosey. Read quite a while ago that it had to get a lot worse before Trump can send in the troops. Needs people to wake up first. And Sue, there is this deal between it's a republic. Yeah, it's a bunch of states, and as Barr was pointing out today, there is federal law and there is state law. And the federation, the presidency, needs to respect the state law. And that is large part of what's been going on. And that's why you've seen this disparity of response on coronavirus, for example, lockdowns, etc., from the states as opposed to from the federal, the administration.
They do have the right to protect federal buildings.
They do. But there is this whole juggle between what are state rights and federal rights, and so we are seeing this play out. It's kind of a bit like, you could argue, with the EU, except the EU, there's no democracy at all. Let me just get through some more comments.
Ollie, before we get there, one of the key things, that we should address, and I refer it to Tim, who absolutely got it, that the media have been very irresponsible.
Yes, they have. They're bastards. Right. Okay. David123 says Q is saying the same as Boosey. And God, Amanda, I remember Norman Collier. Lots of laughs says, oh wait, Shunter. I don't know who Norman Collier is, actually. Sue D says, talking to my slightly woke nephew at the weekend, he thinks it's all peaceful in the US now because MSM doesn't report. And you know what? I mean, this is something that came up last week. Talking to Timothy in Portland, I spoke to a friend of mine on the beach here, or an acquaintance in Valencia, where I am, who reckons, well, is, as kind of up to, hold on, Rodders, up to date as, people tend to be in Europe about things. He didn't even know, didn't have a clue about the Chaz zone in Portland that had been going on for about 3 weeks at the time.
The BBC didn't report it, that's why.
Yeah. Yellow vests all over again. Let me just get through some of these other comments, because you know what? These people if they don't watch, we got nothing. We got nothing. God bless you.
That was
Thank
the summer
you.
of love, Ollie, you know that. Come on.
Amanda Thompson, Trump's trying to give the people the nod to stand up for themselves, isn't he? With a kiss. You know what? I think he is. And he was in Poland talking about this about 2-3 weeks ago. And again, it wasn't even covered. Talking about basically giving individual people control away from this globalist fascism. Let me just get through some of the Rodders. Shut up. Shut up. I'm going through comments from our commentators. William Plonk, they learned from...
It's on that comment.
What?
Yeah, I forgot now. Right, go on.
Okay, Libertarian 1986, who I understand actually is Timothy Otto Hill.
Ollie, sorry.
Oh, for crying... Rodders, can I please represent the people that bother to watch this show without you interrupting?
It's a good job it's called the Daily Chaos, isn't it?
I want to hear from Tim.
I know you do, but you know what? I want to hear from the people that bother to watch this show. So shut up. Sudi, he'd probably claim it was filmed earlier and not happening now, not around at the moment anyway. I don't know what that's referring to. We all know that what happens in the USA comes here eventually. Shame. I love my country. 08 Shunter.
No,
yes, that's right. What happens stateside goes to the rest of, here and there.
I want to hear him.
Yes, I know you want to hear from Tim, and so do I want to hear from Tim as well, but I also want to hear from a whole bunch of people who have had no representation yet tonight whatsoever, if you don't mind. Pauline Smith, I saw vid, and Barr said Antifa didn't exist. Well, I saw the vid today. I watched his testimony, Pauline, and that is not what he said regarding Antifa. He said he did never say that. He never said that. He never said that at all. He said that they did.
Adler says that.
He said that they. Yeah. Nibel, please do regarding showing Trump's thing, press conference in a minute. Please do, Ollie. I can watch it either here or on Fox. They won't mind mirroring their news. I don't care whether they do or not, because you know what? It's called fair game, something like that. It's a copyright thing you can do. Sherry Arnott, sorry Ollie, I don't know how to share a link to you. It's Fox Live on YouTube. Whatever, Sherry. God bless you. Kenneth Noel Curran is Fokken is Dutch to strike. I think being satirical about my no swearing policy. Libel, yes, it was very interesting indeed. I don't think Trump can do that. USA is a federal republic. And that is a good way to lead in to the rest of this show. Except I won't. I will let Rodders have his head. Rodders, what did you want to ask Tim?
I want to ask Tim, there were 2 points that Ollie and I discussed earlier regarding this 12-hour Twitter ban on Trump Jr. It gives rise to an earlier statement you made about the media effectively shading reality from the people who have the power of the vote, which is, I think, rather important. the two things. One, clearly Twitter had the vaccine for coronavirus, because Trump having said whatever he did, and I can't pronounce the word, and any bachelor who can get his tongue around the word of the drug, which apparently is the cure, will be
hydroxychloroquine.
Hydroxychloroquine,
Plus zinc.
and zinc.
Say it again.
Hydroxychloroquine.
Hydroxychloroquine, azithromycin, and zinc.
You guys
Yummy.
are obviously very popular with the women on a Friday night.
With a nice Chianti.
We're not drunk. That's
Exactly.
There you go. The point being is that how dare Twitter say that it's an irresponsible, and it was reported on the BBC as well, in the editorial comment, irresponsible and potentially harmful comment on this corona nonsense. And second of all, who are the Star Chamber? And Tim, this is and for you, Chris, also, who exactly are the Star Chamber, the faceless judges who manipulate?
Michael Douglas, good movie, 1989.
Oh, yeah, I saw the film. Thanks.
Yeah.
Who are the faceless Star Chamber in Twitter who determine what community standards are and will ban people for 12 hours? Who came up with that sentence?
Yeah,
Who
well said.
Say that it should have been 30 minutes or 30 days? And as you should all know, I'm generally banned from Facebook for 30 days at a time. Who are these judges who are in judgment of moral community standards, when in actual fact they present themselves as a platform which pretends to be a freedom of chatting with each other and presenting ideas and debate and discussion, whatever, whether you agree with it or not.
He's right.
The people arguing that point though, because they're saying that Twitter is a private, entity, and it can do whatever it wants.
Yeah, private publisher or something like that.
But it's bigger than that now, isn't it? It's bigger than that. It's way bigger than that.
Congressman
it's an
Matt
influencer.
Gaetz just brought charges against all of them. So they are actually scheduled to speak before Congress again. And actually, they're criminal charges because the last time that Mark Zuckerberg was actually
he lied,
spoke before Congress, he lied because he said that they did not censor
conservative voices,
and conservative voices, and they obviously do, and Twitter as well, and so they're all being brought.
I thought they did the hearing yesterday, didn't they?
Let's play a bit. Let's play. Let me just play a snippet for you of what this lady. No, Rodders. I'm sorry, you're not producing this show. Shut up. I want to play a snippet of Dr. Stella Emanuel, who was in DC today protesting about COVID, the way it's been handled, the press hysteria, and so on and so forth. This, for sharing this clip, this is why the son of the President of the United States got banned for a short while on Twitter today, and a Trump tweet was disallowed. People couldn't even see it. This is those Twitter police coming out and deciding what we can and cannot see. Anyway, this is what she's talking about. Have a listen to this.
It's on this now.
Well, blimey. Can you hear this? Why can we not hear that? Oh, for crying out loud.
All right.
No, you're echoing now. You're echoing. There you go. Here we go. This is
asthma. Old people. I think my oldest patient is 92. 87-year-olds. And the result has been the same. I put them on hydroxychloroquine, I put them on zinc, I put them on Zitromax, and they are all well. For the past few months, I've taken care of over 350 patients. We've not lost one. Not a diabetic, not somebody with high blood pressure, not somebody with asthma, not an old person. We've not lost one patient. And on top of that, I've put myself, my staff, and many doctors that I know on hydroxychloroquine for prevention, because by the very mechanism of action, it works early and as a prophylaxis. We see patients, 10 to 15 COVID patients every day. We give them breathing treatments. We only wear surgical masks. None of us has gotten sick. It works. So right now, I came here to Washington, D.C. to say, America, nobody needs to die. The study that made me start using hydroxychloroquine was a study that they did under the NIH in 2005 that say it works. Recently, I was doing some research about a patient that had hiccups, and I found out that they even did a recent study in the NIH, which is our National Institute, that is the National NIH, National Institute of Health. They actually had a study, and go look it up. Type hiccups and COVID, you will see it. They treated a patient that had hiccups with hydroxychloroquine, and it proved that COVID is a symptom of hiccups. It's a symptom of COVID. So if the NIH knows that treating the patient with hydroxychloroquine proves that hiccup is a symptom of COVID, then they definitely know that hydroxychloroquine works. I'm upset. Why I'm upset is that I see people that cannot breathe. I see parents walk in, I see diabetics sit in my office knowing that this is a death sentence and they can't breathe. And I hug them and I tell them it's going to be okay, you're going to live. And we treat them and they live. None has died. So if some fake science, some person sponsored by all these fake pharma companies comes out and say, oh, we've done studies and they found out that it doesn't work, I can tell you categorically it's fake science. I want to know who is sponsoring that study. I want to know who is behind it. Because there is no way I can treat 350 patients and counting, and nobody is dead, and they all did better. And then you're going to tell me that you treated 20 people, 40 people, and it didn't work. I'm a true testimony. So I came here to Washington, D.C. to tell America, nobody needs to get sick. This virus has a cure. It is called hydroxychloroquine, zinc, and Zithromax. I know people want to talk about mask. Hello? You don't need mask. There is a cure. I know they don't want to open.
Okay, that's enough of that. But there are people there today in DC that were talking about similar kind of stuff as well, regarding this whole COVID-19 thing. Jay, what can you summarize for me what you thought of what was going on?
Olly,
brothers, you keep interrupting. Can we please, on this show, you're supposed to be a co-presenter. You know what? 2 ears, 1 mouth. Can we please not talk over each other? I'm just trying to orchestrate a conversation here. I want to hear. Jay, you tell me, please, what was going on today in DC that Twitter and Facebook got so upset about? Okay. We're cutting over to Trump. Cutting over to Trump now. Too late.
No, don't.
Got to go to Trump. Yeah. Let's hear what he has to say.
This is a core of our strategy to protect the horrible China virus. Should have never happened, should have never been here. They should have stopped. China. In the decades before I took office, foreign nations were allowed to freely plunder our factories and loot our industries, take our business out of the United States. Millions of jobs were vacuumed out, just taken out so easily. Our politicians let that happen. And our communities were stripped and shipped in many cases to China and all over the world, countries all over the world. Nearly 4 years ago, we launched a bold effort to revitalize American manufacturing, enact fair trade deals, and bring our industries back home where they belong. When the China virus landed on our shores, it became clearer than ever before that restoring American manufacturing is a core matter of national security. We must never be reliant on a foreign nation for America's medical or other needs, and that includes many other needs. I just want to say that Pfizer just announced a little while ago that they're combining phase 2 and phase 3 trials, and the vaccine looks like it's really heading in a very rapid direction, a very positive direction. First time that's happened, and they're many months ahead of any other trial.
Okay, I'm just gonna cut off Trump there because he doesn't actually get interesting really until the questions. It has to be said. Also, Timothy, he does sound ominously excited about a vaccine.
Tim is in the bathroom, by the way. If you look at your screen, he's out of bed and he's gone to the loo. Jay, a point that you made.
No, I want an answer to that question. Jay, what are your thoughts about that? It seems to me there are two things where Trump falls down in this presidency. One, his unwavering support for Israel, which I have to say I find peculiar because Israel is a bully state. Whatever you think about religion or politics or whatever, the fact is that they are a bully state. And his unwavering support for that is one thing you could argue is dubious. And the other thing, latterly, is his support for a vaccine. What's going on there?
Yeah, well, hopefully, I hope he's referring to a vaccine involving hydroxychloroquine.
That's not a vaccine, though, is it? That's a
put into a vaccine, can it?
No, it's a therapeutic, and that's what he prefers. So I think the choice will be yours between a vaccine or whether you want to use therapeutics. Yeah,
I think he's
so no one will get the vaccine if they don't want it. He's already said that. And actually, the thing that they don't like about Trump is he is actually anti-vax. You can go back to the tweets that he's.
Why does he sound so excited about a vaccine being created now?
Ollie, I think he's appeasing both sides.
Hold on, Timothy, please.
He's playing the media. It's the same way he came out recently and said that masks are good too, and started wearing a mask. Finally bent, and everybody thinks he caved. No, he's playing them because now if he thinks masks are good, the media is going to be like, no, masks are bad. We don't care about masks. So it's
like the disinfectant comment, isn't it? When he made a comment about injections of disinfectant and
that's actually what vaccines are.
How can you be sure?
Exactly.
How can you be? How can you be? Hold on. How can you be sure, Timothy? Please, that that's the case, or are you possibly being naive?
QAnon. That's how I.
So,
sure.
Okay. How can you be sure that QAnon is not just a big front? That Trump actually is not a big foil?
It's proven itself to be astronomically impossible to not be true.
Astronomically impossible. What does that mean?
No.
What does that mean?
Way. Well, there with the 2-year deltas, the 1-year deltas, the retweets, just everything is just it's categorically undeniable. I mean, there's just no way. So this is what Q. Everything
I kind of agree. You see, the thing is, Timothy, I agree with that.
Has been said by Q.
That he might not be telling the future. He might just be setting it up.
That's right. He could be. I hear what you say, but is there not just a possibility that this is a massive MK Ultra?
Of course.
Like a J trig.
Hold on, Jay. Hold on. I want to get this from Portland, Timothy.
It has to be the most clever thing that has ever been perpetrated. It would have to be that.
Can I ask a question?
No.
We've got Carl. We've got Carl Melench. Carl Melench called in. God bless you, Carl. What would you like to ask or say?
Question. Ventilators in this country was brought out. There's a big thing about we've got to make loads of them. Ventilators have caused more deaths because the intrusiveness, what they do to your body, the tubes going down.
Right.
So is America doing the same thing with ventilators, or they just scrapped it and not bothered at all?
They talk about it, don't they? I mean, Trump talks about it a lot.
Yeah, no,
there's ventilators. Yeah,
the ventilator thing was something that the Democrats made a big deal about. So he made a whole shit ton of them, and now they don't even need them, and we're trying to give them to other countries. So
it was a 90% death rate, wasn't it? I mean, because it's a hemoglobin.
But yeah, once they go on the ventilator, they're dead. And what hydroxychloroquine does is it keeps them from having to go on a ventilator at all. So,
Rodders, what would you like to say, sir?
I would first of all, I'd like to say this is a very fast-moving show where in actual we go from topic to topic at lightning speed.
No, we don't. You keep changing the subject. The rest of us are on topic.
No, I want to get back to what Jay said. Re-Twitter. We found that Donald Trump Jr. has been banned for 12 hours. We've had a brief conversation about freedom of speech, and Jay, you made a very interesting observation. That Twitter are a private company and they're entitled to do what the fuck they like.
What? No. What the Billy bollocks they like? Not the
Jay. Hang on. The point that I want to make is that
Goodness
Twitter,
sake, man!
No, Olly,
Can you not control your tongue?
Oh no, I can't really. It's called Tourette's. There we go. I haven't taken the tablets. I am on the vodka, but there we go. The point being is that, Jay, you said Twitter is a private company. They're entitled to do what they choose. Now, the reality is that the president of the free world, Donald Trump, which is how we attribute America, has chosen Twitter as his preferred platform for communication. So, in actual fact, there seems to be a little bit of an argument there when you say, well, they can do what the hell they like. It's like, well...
No, just to clarify, I didn't say they can do what the hell they like. I'm saying that they're the comments they're doing to support that action. I don't agree with it.
Jay, it's rodders to you, but the point is, when you say it's a private company and they can do what the hell they like, well, President Trump, who is the leader of the free world, has chosen it as his platform. So there seems to be an argument which is irreconcilable. At what point do they say to Donald, we're going to ban you for 12 hours because it suits our purpose during an election period? And
look, the fact is, we know the deal. They are libtard central, just like Cleggbook. Yeah, we know the deal. We know the deal. That's the real. Now, Maggie May makes a point. This is why Trump took the drug to show us it works in relation, I suspect, I know, to hydroxychloroquine. Thank you, Maggie. That's right, he did.
Yeah, but the origins of that drug are debatable, very questionable even, because it came
I seriously wonder. I don't know why. I don't know. I've heard that there are successful trials in New York, successful trials in Paris. That Didier bloke. And now there's, various others. Anyway, I do wonder if that was when Trump sent his medics over to, Westminster Hospital or whatever.
The Republicans stayed because
help
they were willing to actually
Boris.
try it.
Now you're doing it. You're doing it. You're taking, goodness sake, don't learn from rodders, for crying out loud, Timothy. I do wonder if that is what Boris's doctors prescribed. Oh, blimey. Trump's doctors prescribed Boris and got him off the death march or whatever. Okay, yes, Timothy.
That's possible, but then why would Boris be making the moves against Trump?
Also, the Brazilian president who took hydroxychloroquine.
Bolsonaro. Did he take that? Did he?
Didn't he die?
Yeah. No.
No. He's still there. He's still there. Right.
When it comes to drug development, and funny enough, I did own a very successful company that was.
Oh, for crying out loud! Look, I'm cutting back to Trump. I don't want to hear about your drug stealing. Hold on.
Last week, FEMA completed a second shipment of personal protective equipment.
Okay. He's still talking about
China
nonsense. Yeah. Well, not nonsense at all, but the good stuff is when he starts taking questions and then berating the reporters.
Jim Acosta then.
Fake! You are fake! Fake! Sorry. Go on, Rodders. Tell us about your drug dealing.
Okay, well, I'll tell you. I have been in the drug discovery business. I knew bloody all about it. It was just
drug discovery. You was Breaking Bad. He had a caravan in Nevada, in the middle of Nevada.
Well, I was at the University of Chicago, where chem students were making up their own drugs. But the point being, Viagra originally was developed as a drug.
There you go. It all comes back to porn with you, doesn't it?
The reality is it was developed, in actual fact, as a drug, coming up to the point that you were making, Jay, which I don't agree with. Viagra was developed to help people with heart conditions in all folks' homes. I thought
you were going to say hard-ons. Heart conditions. Sorry.
Exactly. And they were all shagging their nurses, or attempting to, or their ex-wives, or whatever. So the point being, it's very difficult to know where a drug starts and where it ends up. And I wouldn't discount anything, having been in a drug development business that was sold to Hoffman La Roche, which is the world's, which is now owned by Genentech, the world's biggest drug discovery company.
Mm.
And we had no idea. I mean, certainly not me. I'm not, I wasn't the brain box. The scientists were. And they said, well, this is what we think we can do. And in actual fact, some discoveries turn out to have alternative consequences. Viagra being my case in point.
Have you ever used Viagra?
Yeah, you sound like you need a stiff one.
I was going to ask if it sorted his heart out.
I tell you what, I have tried, I'm very happy to admit this, Cialis, or whatever it's called.
What's that?
A very eminent member of one of the royal families in the Middle East was giving a presentation.
Princess Cialis.
Cialis, that's the one. And anyway, he was wearing his dish dash, and the way it worked out is that as he was leaving the lectern, he'd taken 2 tabs of the Cialis stuff that the previous night to satisfy his wife, and of course it had an unexpected reality occurrence.
Got a bloody great big hard on.
Well, yeah, but when you're leaving
At a state banquet.
And well, do you know what? It was a state banquet, and again, I'll be as discreet as I can. But he's got to leave the
Got
room.
a spanker at a banquet.
Banquet, and of course you can imagine wearing a dish dash, the old traditional sort.
What's a dish dash?
It's the Arabian costume, which is basically a sheet draped.
Basically a sheet. Yeah. Well, or else a goat. They wear a goat or something. Sorry, I'm being rude. I'm being very rude. Very, very rude.
Yeah,
Apologise.
that was racist. I mean, let me tell you, right. the point is, this poor chap, with his entourage of advisors, government advisors, royal advisors, etc., in his dish dash, and of course, Cialis is a rip-off of Viagra that was originally designed to preserve old people in old folks' homes. What they did was get shaggy.
Blimey.
So I wouldn't discount the word that I can't pronounce, which is probably why I wasn't saying.
No, don't use that. Don't use that. It's probably rude.
So what is it then, rigor mortis in tablet form? Is that what it is?
Well, don't forget that John Paul Getty died with his mistress on top of him.
Really? Blimey.
Yeah. She was the last person.
Did she manage to dislodge?
She was the last person to be screwed by John Paul Getty.
Oh dear.
Like Libya and other Texan oil barons and blah blah blah.
Right.
I'm not sure what started the Viagra talk, because I was actually saying that hydroxychloroquine was given to Trump by someone in Chabad Lubavitch.
Oh, Jay, say that again. I just find it. I've got to get my lips around this.
Hydroxychloroquine. Hydroxychloroquine.
It's funny because we were talking about tonic water, and you said it's got quinine in it. So just hydroxychloroquine.
Right. You've got a good memory, Jay.
That's the thing. I have been prophylactically taking.
I thought that was something you shoved up your bottom.
I've been taking zinc tablets with tonic water and an ice cube, making ice cube out of grapefruit juice, which is high in quinine. So I was basically having a tonic water with some grapefruit juice and zinc.
How does one take a prophylactic? Does one stick it on the end of a butt plug? Is it?
No.
Butt plug?
Are we past the watershed?
Not the butt.
Chris, what do you do with the gin?
Don't know. Probably
Chris,
not.
I didn't have any gin.
DC is still
because I'm
having
bear
dinner
in
at the
mind I'm
moment.
taking this in the morning before I go and do anything like study or go to work. So, but no. So I was having
mine wasn't quite as exotic.
Grapefruit juice, tonic water, and zinc, which means I'm actually getting quinine in me. I'm getting zinc in me, which
and a
is
butt
going
plug.
to help. And I've not had COVID.
Chris,
mine
doesn't
quite...
this go back to when
Have you had
Trumman's talking
COVID,
about
but a bit of
having
rigid?
a bleach and bleaching your system out? He wasn't actually saying to drink bleach. Obviously, that's what the media.
Disinfectant, he said.
It was a case of
Yes.
But it was to disinfect your body, wasn't it? And that's exactly what this is.
That's right. He actually used the right word. He used the right word, Carl. No, you know what
yes,
disinfectant?
he did.
Yeah.
But the media spun it as a bleach, and then said it's dangerous to inject yourself with bleach, but then they don't
Yeah,
realise
but they've got nothing to do with
they're in
bleach.
vaccines.
No, a disinfectant. Bleach is one of hundreds, if not thousands, of disinfectants.
You can disinfect in many ways.
Formaldehyde.
You can disinfect in many ways, whether it's your body or something, an
That's
object
right.
in front.
Your saliva disinfects.
He also said the sun would kill it, and it does.
Yeah, the heat. Yeah, so then he has to stay indoors.
In the same paragraph, he said that we should be looking at. It's going to be great. We should be looking at X-ray vision stuff. You know, what was it like?
UV
rays. UV light as
a
disinfectant, and then he went on to disinfectant, and then the media spin it as bleach.
He said, "No, it's deadly." He did a whole article on it.
Some of them spun it as Lysol, even. So.
Lysol?
It's funny because all they were saying, they were discrediting vaccines themselves without even knowing it.
Yeah, because that's what's in them. Disinfectants.
Yeah, formaldehyde, and for some reason, mercury.
Yeah, mercury.
I just had a sort of thoughty thought based on what Chris was saying. Very beautifully put. But if you want to disinfect yourself, have a homosexual affair with a bartender who spits in your bottom. The prophylactic with the tonic water, grapefruit juice, and what other ingredients? Chris, did you?
I just took a zinc supplement tablet because it's supposed to be. What they say is it's hydroxychloroquine, azithromycin, and zinc. So what do I actually need to? So I can get the quinine, I can get the zinc. So
is it easy
why
for you
not
to
take it?
Is it easy for you to get hydroxychloroquine, Chris?
No, you
not
need a
in
prescription
California.
for it. No,
That's the same with us.
especially with the way the government. So what I'm doing is I'm taking something that is not going to be in a high concentration or anything, but is probably going to probably has had some benefit because I'm taking something that contains the active ingredients.
Yeah, you're just taking the hydroxy out, aren't you?
I'm just taking I'm taking the quinine and the natural form of it, and I'm taking some zinc.
I just drank lots of Schweppes, you know.
Well, this is what I'm saying. If the reason it's actually the zinc that's the important bit, because what the hydroxychloroquine does is it makes the absorption of the zinc easier by your body. So, and it's the zinc that actually is the thing that tackles the COVID. So, the hydroxychloroquine is a vehicle to deliver the zinc.
Iodine is another product, what we normally eat, but because we produce food now, iodine is very low in the nutrients we eat as a plant. And people don't even think about taking that. Iodine, again, can help you immensely. It's not just to put on a cut on your hand.
I would like to apologise to Chris for the obvious gag, but I couldn't resist it.
Well, we know what you like. We know what you like.
And zinc, by the way, is absolutely essential for hard-ons. If you go through fertility treatment, which we have, I was on a high dosage of zinc. I didn't have a homosexual affair.
Always comes back to that.
Yeah, so the Viscounts on a high dosage of zinc. You've already made comments about how those of us who can actually say hydroxychloroquine are probably better with the ladies, obviously.
It's called the male menopause.
You're having to take high doses of zinc. You're really not. You're not really not showing yourself in a positive light about your prowess in the bedroom, are you, Mike?
It's a male menopause story, mate.
Do you know what, Chris? I was told this joke recently. You might have heard it, but it was. My father told me that to succeed in life, you should never accept no for an answer. He was a terrible father and parent, but an incredible rapist.
Well, let's get off topic then. Kamala Harris just said,
you know,
Bill Barr's testimony today shows us he's only here to protect the president and his re-election. That's it. 58,000 likes.
What got 58,000 likes?
You know, Kamala Harris, the one who's a bloke.
Kamala Harris, who basically
possible vice president to Joe.
Yeah,
Biden.
Joe.
Yeah, Bill Barr's
dementia.
Bill Barr's testimony today shows he's only here to protect the president and his re-election. That's it.
Well, this is a funny thing. Someone was saying they're basically saying to make it easier for minorities, they're going to become lawyers. They're going to lower the standards for the California bar exam. And when I saw that, I kind of made a comment that obviously the standards are not that high if Gavin Newsom, Kamala Harris, and Javier Becerra pass the bar.
I'd say the standards now.
They're dropping standards for the bar exam.
No, I said
make
that's
it easier for minorities. And I said that, and I also
no, I mean my response would be, what are the standards? As a question. Anyway, my response to Kamala was, are Americans really that dumb? Or is Twitter just an echo chamber of hearsay without factual information, which is accepted as being enough? Nadler provided nothing. Nadler provided nothing in the opening speech, and Jordan not only gave facts, but also played a video Nadler said was a myth. So take that with Kamala, or whatever your bloke's name is, isn't it? Some say he is related to Obama in some way, a friend or something.
Right. And, should we just play a little bit more Trump before we go, just to see where he's at? No. Hold on. Have a listen. See what he says. See what he says. There might be a bit of echo, people. So bear that in mind.
Last year, drug prices came down. First time in 51 years that they came down. Now, with what I signed last week, I think that drug prices can come down by numbers like 50% and even greater in certain instances.
Terrible. He's orange. Awful. Mustn't be allowed. He's gonna reduce. Actually, already has reduced drug prices. Oh my God! Save the NHS. Oh, it's not safe from Trump.
On the drug pricing, you had said that pharmaceutical representatives would be here today for a meeting to talk about bringing drug prices down or to negotiate. That meeting was canceled. Why?
I didn't know a meeting was canceled. Oh, a meeting with the drug...
You said there would be a meeting today with drug companies.
God, listen to that. Say that.
She owns the place.
She's talking to the president of the United States.
I
just said the meeting was canceled.
I thought the meeting was scheduled tomorrow. Sorry about the dates, but I see how upset you are by it. Go ahead, please. Bloomberg, Mr. Bloomberg. You look like Mr. Bloomberg. Go ahead.
You look like Mr. Bloomberg.
Extension of supplemental unemployment aid if the deal that they're hashing out in Congress isn't completed by the end of this week.
We'll do something. We're going to take care of the people. Yeah, it's a good question. We're going to take care of the people.
Hold on, let me just refresh the page to get Trump in sync. I love the way he deals with the press.
In that video that you retweeted last night said that masks don't work and there is a cure for COVID-19, both of which health experts say is not true. She's also made videos saying that doctors make medicine using DNA from aliens and that they're trying to create a vaccine to make you immune from becoming religious.
Well, maybe it's the same, maybe it's not. I can tell you this. She was on air along with many other doctors. They were big fans of hydroxychloroquine. And I thought she was very impressive in the sense that from where she came, I don't know which country she comes from, but she said that she's had tremendous success with hundreds of different patients. And I thought her voice was an important voice, but I know nothing about her.
He's talking about the woman whose clip I played earlier in DC. Oh, he's at it. He's at it. That's enough. That's enough of the fake lot. Bugger them. That's the end of them. He's at it with them. So anyway, that was a fairly short Trump cast.
We didn't catch all the questions then, did we? But they are quite funny.
Yeah, but they are funny. But he gave her one, didn't you? You look a bit like Bloomberg.
I like hearing Jim Acosta, the way he grovels. But he doesn't grovel, he just kind of beats up Trump and then he says, yeah, fake news. So yeah, Jim Acosta. He's supposed to be a nice guy when he's off the screen. Apparently.
Yeah.
So,
probably more he's probably more of a coward and too scared to actually be nasty to your face when off camera because he's subjected in front of a camera.
Probably.
Isn't this the guy who gives a fantastic prophylactic mouthwash?
I think you're talking about Weiner.
Prophylactic.
No,
I will never forget this. The prophylactic cocktail wash. Tremendous.
Oh, mate. That's like something off Epstein's Island. Yeah.
No, and don't forget, and let me be very clear. This is just my dreadful sense of humour.
Oh, don't, Rodders. Don't start a sentence with "let me be clear" because you remind me of the stories.
Yeah. Probably
That's
ends
what
up.
May said. That's what May said for every question. Let me be absolutely clear, and then not answer the question.
And then, what I am going to answer the question. Chris is a pastor. He's a responsible gun owner with a most stunning wife, who I confused, unfortunately, for his daughter when she came on screen. I said, "Your daughter is charming." He said, "No, she's my wife."
She said it as a compliment.
Well, I did say it as a compliment. I'm not entirely sure how Chris took it at the time. I know you're not a woman.
It's Robin the Cradle.
She's only 8 years difference. Come on.
Oh, we have the Dam Busters. Dam Busters. Dum, 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 dum.
This is the only way I can shut up the Viscount. I want to say a big cheers to everybody who's popped in, turned up, had a chat tonight.
I'm going to continue watching AG Barr's testimony because I'm about 30 minutes.
It's not still on. He's not still on. He must have finished now.
Jay, don't interrupt the Dam Busters.
He's finished. Yeah.
It's chaos. It's daily chaos to you.
Was there a bouncing bomb went off in the Judicial House Committee today, or maybe not quite? Maybe not quite. Right. Okay. Timothy, are you still feeling confident about November?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
How could you not? I mean, basically, it's a rerun of 2016. Hillary's
I don't know.
win.
It seems to me the only way they can swing it.
Actually, that was something that I was trying to bring up, and you said to put a pin in it.
Yes, Rasmussen. Rasmussen. What's the deal with the polling?
Rasmussen report in 2016, before the presidential election. Rasmussen report also predicted that it would be within 2%.
They were accurate.
So the closest
I remember.
one said that Trump had a 4% approval rating in the black community.
Yeah.
Fast forward to today, he's got a 43% approval rating.
More approval rating than Obama now.
43.
Yeah, but
that's
43%. Now, what that means, if that were to translate to votes, Democrats require 90% of the black vote in order to be elected.
The irony of that, they didn't want to get rid of, slavery.
If they're saying 4% of the people voted, 4% of black people voted for Trump in 2016, if we draw that correlation,
black votes matter. Do you know what I mean?
And that became 43%. There is no way on God's green earth that the Democrats could win due to the makeup of their vote.
Sensible people matter.
He's going to win the popular vote even this year.
And now they're going to try and take down statues that remind people of it.
That'll kill the argument.
That's it. God bless you, Boosey.
Yeah.
God bless you, mate. This last bit's for Rodders. Right.
That always gives me the hard one without the
You have been tuned in to the Daily Chaos, playing Dam Busters March almost a second time there. I want to say a big cheers to Timothy Otto Hill in Portland, Oregon. Chris Boosey
quite a few people today.
San Diego, California. Jay Carey, God bless him. In the UK, up north,
Location
somewhere,
anonymous.
north of the Watford Gap. Viscount St David's, from his toilet in Viscount Castle. And Carl Milench. Carl, God bless you, mate. You should call him more often, please. You're the only one of all of us that has something sensible to say.
Oh, cheers.
Thank you, Carl. Thank you for calling in. I want you to call in with Lynn and the ghost of Barbara the sheep. You know what I'm talking about. And all of you lot on various networks, including Periscope and DLive. Goodness gracious. You should all be, all of you, at dailychaos.news/show. Go there and register, and then you can comment from there. You can call in. You can call in from there. You just have to press a button. Monday to Thursday, 9 p.m. UK time. That's 4 p.m. EDT. Tomorrow, Simon Bean, MBE, popping in to tell us how we're going to boycott the BBC, defund the BBC, take over the BBC. Simon Bean on tomorrow. Rodders, what were you saying?
Ollie, very quickly, I was just going to ask, how many subscribers have we got from Tinder?
From Tinder? Oh. God bless you all. See you tomorrow. Here's to us.
I thought I'd just wind up the pasta.
Bugger plutocracy. And bugger off, Rodders. 99.
What about Tinder? What about Grindr?